Hi, I'm Alex Archbold, and I've been buying and selling antiques since I was 9 years old. From basements to scrapyards, I'll look just about anywhere I can to find lost antiques and collectibles. And sometimes I'll go big and buy everything. With my wife and kids, we run an antique shop in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, filled with some of the most unique items we can find. I never know what's going to happen or who I'm going to meet. This is our life, this is our adventure, and this is Curiosity Inc.
From home, honey.
Time to see if I can get the old Chrysler to start. Now, I went ahead and picked up a battery for it, which is good and charged up right now. We'll put this in, see if it does anything. The car was on the road last, 2019? It's not that long ago. Okay. It's just a little dusty under here. It's actually pretty decent. I am going to try and get that battery in there. The spark plug wires, the coil, that all looks fairly new. I pulled the air cleaner off and try and prime the carb a little bit before we start it. And at least, well, start, fingers crossed about starting, but at least get it to turn over anyway. Battery in. First order of business, we'll see if we get any power to it. Okay, the oil light's on. There's no radio in this car. What kind of New Yorker doesn't have a radio? Who orders not quite the top of the line, but a fairly high-end Chrysler at the time and doesn't put a radio in? Unusual. Okay, let's see if it turns over. Okay, that sounds healthy. I'm gonna try a little quick start in there and see if we get some spark out of it. Okay, try that. Come on. Oh, feels close. Well, I've had absolutely no luck getting the car to start. It was sputtering. I think the problem has to do with the cap of the wires. If you see right here, these new spark plug wires they put on, they keep rising up. Like they're getting pushed off. So I think the problem lies with the distributor cap. Possibly the wires or spark plugs. It's a spark issue. It's getting fuel, that's not the problem. It's a spark issue. What I need to do is get this car home where I can properly work on it. I can't do much work here at the shop where I have it stored right now. So the debate is, do I take it home and work on it, or I take it into a shop to get them to do it? Because I don't really have much space at home right now. As I'll have to make a decision today. Well, I guess the old Chrysler becomes tomorrow's problem. I've decided I'm going to take it into a friend of mine who has a shop and get him to look at it, because I really don't have space at home. I did find the missing box in the back of the car, though, for the Cox airplane. So that's at least one plus. So I've had enough fooling around with the car at the store. I have decided to get it brought home. I have a free tow to get it back home when it's not running like that. I'm going to get it back to the house and see if I can figure out how to make this thing go. I've decided that instead of paying a mechanic, you know, like over $100 an hour to do it, I could probably do it myself. The parts that I think I need are about 112 bucks. We're just on our way to go pick them up right now. Here we are. Napa, 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 Napa. Not sponsored by Napa, but purchased at Napa. Got my box of loot, some engine cleaner because I hate working on a dirty engine, coil, condenser, carburetor cleaner, pretty much everything I need, hopefully, to get this thing going. The nice thing about North American cars, old ones, pretty much everything is in stock. Back at the house. Apparently, it's going to be here any minute. We actually beat the tow truck. We were able to get there and back. Before the car gets here, I want to make sure I get everything all laid out, ready to go, so it'll be a little bit faster once it's time to put it on the car. We've got carb cleaner, because I think that carb is pretty dirty that's on there right now. Engine degreaser, which I'll use first. Coconut air freshener, because who doesn't want to smell like they've been drinking pina coladas? Maybe not when you're driving. Do you imagine you have to take a breathalyzer because your car smells like pina colada? We've got, that's the rotor, I believe. Yep. We got some new boots. I think pretty much everything I need here. So I'm gonna get it all laid out. And then when the car arrives, I'll just start swapping things out until the darn thing works. Hopefully, that's the plan anyway. I hear the sounds of a tow truck. Yes, indeed. Chrysler New Yorker with the 413, which hopefully I can make run. First things first, before I really start tearing into the repairs, I want to get this engine bay cleaned up. It's really quite greasy. You can see it's missing the cap off of the power steering pump. So I'm going to make a makeshift cover for that until I can find a replacement cap. I don't want to get water in there. I want to make sure it's covered up. This is the most hillbilly thing I'm going to do on this whole car probably. I'm only putting that there to prevent water from going until I can find a proper cap. So if you're saying, what the heck are you doing? Yes, I cut the top off an old pop can just so water wouldn't get in so I could wash it. You know, the thing is, I bought a new coil. That coil looks new. I bought a new spark plug cap. Our new distributor cap. Like a lot of the things that are on here look like somebody's done already. But I'm going to do them again. You never know when they put the wrong stuff on. Let me get it washed down and see if we can clean it up under here before I start work. And I'm going to be using Gunk Engine Bright Engine Degreaser, and we're just going to kind of apply that over all the dusty dirty bits, which in this case is pretty much the whole engine is greasy and grimy. We'll get this all sprayed down, and then I've got the pressure washer standing by so I can wash all this off. But all this years of grease and grime, you need a heavy duty cleaner to get it off. Engine degreaser is soaking. I'm gonna grab my pressure washer and start blasting away at some of the grime and dirt that's built up on there. Okay, let's see what we can do. After a bit of a bath, it sure is cleaning up nice under here. I'm gonna let this dry off before I attempt to pull any spark plugs or anything, just in time for supper. So I'm gonna leave the hood open, let the engine dry off a bit, and come back out and attempt to actually do the repairs on the vehicle. Car has been sitting for long enough. First thing I'm gonna do is put in a set of new spark plugs, and we'll figure out what size it is with the spark plug wrench and get the old ones out. Got one of the spark plugs out, and judging by how fouled and gross that looks, probably a good reason why this car is having trouble starting. Might be a sign of bad rings. I guess we'll see if it burns a lot of oil when I start it up, but some fresh plugs should definitely do the trick. I'm gonna start here and see if that's what the main problem is. Despite my best effort to work clean, I have gotten a little oily. That's because all of these spark plugs were completely fouled. Now before I go ahead and change out any other parts on this car, because I bought a coil and all sorts of other stuff here, it might have been as simple as just the spark plugs being fouled. I'm gonna clean up the carburetor, turn the key, see what happens. Could it be as simple as spark plugs? Let's find out. Here she goes. Ooh. It's running. Yep, it's running. I'm not used to these push buttons, so I want to make sure it wasn't actually in gear. How much oil am I burning? A little bit. Okay. So it was fouled spark plugs all along. Well, I'm going to keep the carb clean, let it warm up, and see how she runs. Okay, I'm feeling pretty confident. The car's running kind of decent, other than a little bit of smoke out the back, which is probably why the plugs fouled up. This is a push button car, which means it's a little bit different than a normal car. I'll show you. Normally on a car, you have a shifter here, or you have one here. In this case, no. They thought they'd be creative and put a push button. So you select the gear you want. This is park. This random lever is park. So that takes it out of park. If I want to go in reverse, I push the reverse button. Pretty tricky. Park, you push a lever down like that. The steering wheel, it's not round. It's kind of square. There's no radio. Well, that's not the car's fault. That's whoever was a cheapskate and bought this thing originally, didn't pay for a radio. To get out though, you basically launch yourself with this little lever. It's like a little launch. It reminds me of like maybe shifting gears, or I don't know. It's kind of a cool way to get out of a car. Anyway, that's how you get out. Well, now that it's running and driving, I've got to do something about the outside. Years of sitting, and they claim it only was driving last about a year ago, but I think it's been sitting outside for a bit longer. You've got all this sort of moss and decay starting to build up. I'm going to give it a good wash and see how good we can make this car look. After a bit of a wash, it's looking somewhat better, but we still have all these little spots of surface rust that are starting to poke through. I'm going to do a couple things. One, I'm going to wash these spots with an SOS pad. Now, you might think that's a little aggressive. I'm going to power polish the car afterwards, so if this does leave any little micro abrasions, it should be taken out. But this is generally pretty, if you don't push very hard, this should do the trick without causing much damage. Anyway, there's probably other ways to do it, other polishes you can use and things like that. This is what I'm going to do. It also works really good on chrome bumpers and all of the like too. So I'm going to give it a bit of a wash down just in the little rusty areas with an SOS pad. Okay, so I got it kind of soapy. I'm just going to get on there, let it do its magic. See? It's taking the redness off anyway. After I put a polish on this, it'll protect the paint from doing this again for a little while. Eventually this car is going to need a paint job, but I believe it's largely original paint. It is a lacquer. You can tell because of how dull it is. And I don't see any signs of overspray. This is a very old paint job if it's not the original. So I'm going to go ahead and give the whole car a bit of a wash down in the problem areas and report back and see how it turns out. Day one complete. Now I have not power polished the car yet. That's just a little bit of water on it from me washing it. The paint is actually still pretty dull, but a lot of those little marks that were completely red and rusty are just little stone chips again. I cleaned up the white walls a little bit. It's actually looking half decent. So tomorrow, after I'm done work, I'm gonna bring out the old power polisher and see if I can make it shine. Now, because this paint is really faded, look, you can't see any reflection at all. The lacquer doesn't keep its gloss very well. But it usually can polish up, which is why I'm gonna use some Meguiar's fine cut cleaner, and I'll use my power polisher. I'm gonna start on this fender and see if some of these little marks that we cleaned up a little bit the other day will come out even better. So we'll give this a try. And there she is after the first polish. Now, I don't know if you can tell from here or not, but all those little red rusty kind of spots are gone. We actually have some shine happening in the trunk. Well, maybe you can't see too well, but anyway, it is a little shinier. This is just the first cut of polish, but that is looking like a car again, don't you think? I was able to get the weather stripping on the other side that was falling down. I got that glued back on, so it's not hanging. I mean, really, the interior is quite good in this car. And the best thing about it, this is about 95% original paint. There's a couple spots where they've touched it up here and there, but overall this car is largely original. And now that I get my keys out here, I'm going to show you just how it starts. Now, I haven't even started it yet this morning. This is another morning, by the way. I'm continuing on. Key in. There she is. So it runs. We've got working signals. Just gonna hop out and make sure the headlights and taillights work. Headlights, yeah. Taillights. I would say she's looking and feeling like a car again. Now, I just took the car over to get some gas, and it runs and drives amazing. I will have to, it sounds like there's a bit of an exhaust leak, but everything is working as it should. It's got good power steering, power brakes, everything is working well. I think it's actually not a bad little car. It's starting to grow on me a bit. Well, I am feeling pretty good about this car. It went from being a dusty non-runner that kind of looked like it was abandoned to back to a nice looking little show car. And the best thing is, runs and drives well too. So I'm gonna hop in, drive the old car home, and decide whether I'm gonna keep it or sell it. I am kind of hyper focused on getting us a house, so might have to go. But somebody, regardless of whether it's me or not, is gonna have a really great little car. Thanks for watching today's episode, guys. I hope you liked it. Tune in for more. And there we go. Resurrected a New Yorker. See you guys soon, and bye for now.